Hey, Travels with Dottie here, and yep, it's a whole video on traveling with pets. So it only seems appropriate before I start yapping away, no pun intended, that you meet the pets that I live with. And to no one's surprise, the first one is Dottie. Hey, Dottie, do you want to say hi? It's kind of nap time. And then there's George. Dottie's 10 years old. What kind of dog is it? A rescued mutt. And here is George. Hey, George. Hey, Kitty. Kitty. George is also 10 years old. And George is a long-haired cat. All right. So we're not in an RV, are we? This doesn't look like an RV. It's my casita. And it's really not much bigger than an RV. But let's go and look at the RV, so you can see what the living space is like there and what the pet accommodations are. All right. And here's the entryway, and the first thing is a big old bowl of water for both. There's the bed where all three of us sleep in that bed, believe it or not. And there's where I sit. And that's a work desk when I'm not living at the casita. And you can see down there, there's a litter box and then a bed, which is sometimes it's George, sometimes it's Dottie. It depends. And those are pretty much the pet accommodations here, the litter box and the bed and the water dish. That's pretty much it. I keep food bowls up here, fill them when necessary, put them on the ground, retrieve them when they're done. They don't sit out. So that's pretty much what that looks like. So let's go back. Oh, sorry. All right. And there's Dottie wondering, where did you go, Dad? And let's go and sit down at the desk here. Turn this bad boy around. There we go. And here we are. So let's start with pet health. You're on the road, you're traveling. I always keep a primary veterinarian where my home base is, and it used to be Pahrump. I had a JAM Veterinary Services in Pahrump, and I love them. And I've since moved to Artesia, and I have a vet. The name of the vet operation is called Critter Care. So I'm here about pretty close to 6 months out of the year, 3 months in the spring, 3 months in the fall, 3 months in Eagle Nest, and 3 months in Quartzsite. So the vast majority of the time between those three places is here. So that's why I have Critter Care in Artesia. Things like medications. I can, call them for refills. I can have medications delivered to me. Pet Meds is one of the big ones that I use. There's a couple out there, and they have pretty reasonable prices. But if I'm in Quartzsite or Eagle Nest and I have some kind of urgency, do I run back to Artesia? No, I don't. I use locals to find out what the consensus is on the most reliable veterinarian services, and I also do research on where the closest emergency veterinary hospital is for each of those locations. So ahead of time, I know who to call and where to go in case of an emergency, and that's pretty important as a nomad. Now, I'm lucky. I only go to 3 places. There are those of you going to be doing this lifestyle. You're constantly on the move. So you have to work a little harder to keep up with, okay, I'm in Keokuk, Iowa. What's the closest emergency vet here? You'll get more warning when you need a regular visit. You can take more time to do research. But just like when you pull up to a new place, know where you are, know how to describe where you are. And so if you call 911, you can say, this is the problem, this is where I am, come help me. Just like that, you need to know not only where you are, but where the closest emergency veterinary service is, how to get there, look at the route ahead of time. If you're staying in an RV park or somewhere hosted, ask them, right? And don't be, you can just don't rely on online, because here's the thing that'll happen. You'll be in a remote place and it'll say the closest veterinary 24-hour hospital is a 4-hour drive away. What's wrong with that? Well, 2 things potentially. One is it could be out of date and that hospital doesn't exist anymore. So if that's going to be your emergency plan, you need to call that place. Make sure they're real. Make sure they're there. Find out what the hours are. The other thing that's not as widely advertised, in small towns, many local vets will have an emergency, a way to access the veterinarian in an emergency. I know it's that way in Eagle Nest. I have to go to Angel Fire 9 miles away, but there's a vet that you can call out, and there's, I don't know, $100 charge just right off the bat for the emergency call. But I don't have to go to the closest emergency hospital for a veterinarian. So dig into, call the local vets, find out, ask. And there are Facebook haters out there. I'm sorry. Of all the negative things about Facebook, for what I use it for, I love it. In particular, as a nomad, because every single community that I go to has at least one Facebook community page with hundreds and sometimes thousands of users, where you can go and you can ask a question. Hey, I'm new in town. What's a good vet to go to? Or if I have an emergency with my vet, what do I do here? And you will get tons of answers, some of which will be ridiculous and maybe mean, but many of which will be extremely valuable. And you can use what I call those Facebook information. I call Facebook news and Facebook information leads. I don't call them news, I call them leads. I don't call them facts, I call them leads. It gives me a place to go, people to call, people to see, and things to verify. All right? So that's an important part of being safe and having peace of mind on the road. Another thing is you're traveling from place to place like I am. I never, ever let Dottie off lead for more than a second or two, and it's got to be a controlled area and I have to be able to grab her right away. But I don't let Dottie run free in the desert, RV parks, or anything. And when I'm out walking Dottie, I carry little thing of pepper spray in my pocket, just in case we get attacked by a dog. And it's happened. And Dottie's never gotten hurt, but I'm ready in case it does. Just because I have a docile dog that isn't aggressive, that never goes off leash, doesn't mean everyone I encounter is going to have those same principles. I actually had an aggressive German Shepherd actually break their lead at a state campsite and came after Dottie and I. It can happen, so I'm prepared for it. And I'd be really cautious around dog parks. You let your dog loose with a bunch of other dogs. You don't know the history, the background of all those dogs. I have personally I've gone to quite a few and I've not had a bad experience, but I have had friends that have had very bad experiences and will not take the risk. That's up to you. So little thing of pepper spray in my pocket, and any dog that attacks Dottie they're going to have to bite me first. They're going to have to go through me. Right, Dottie? And Dottie's already asleep. Already asleep again. Next is, you saw my little trailer. You think it gets hot in there if I don't have air conditioning? Are you kidding me? Over 100 degrees like that. It can get over 100 degrees in there if the windows aren't open and it's 80 degrees. It'll be 100 in there very quickly. It's a little metal can that'll heat up very quickly. Do I leave Dottie and George in there for that? Absolutely, I do not. Now keep this in mind. Tolerances for heat, I believe, and when I use the phrase I believe, it's a cue for you to do your own research, because I'm not saying I know and I'm not presenting myself as an authority. But with which rudimentary research and personal experience, cats can tolerate a higher temperature than dogs can. I am comfortable leaving George with the windows open and a breeze going through up to the low 90s and for brief periods of time. I would not be comfortable leaving Dottie in the same environment. So what's the solution? One is that if you have hookups or you have a giant battery system, you can run your AC. All right. But you say, what if you're gone and the AC cuts out? Well, I've got a couple of things that are gonna alert me when that happens. One is, in all the sort of things that I mentioned today, I'm going to put links to it in the description. Blink cameras do not require a monthly subscription. They just require an internet connection, right? And certain Blink cameras, it'll detect the temperature and it'll send you an alert if the temperature exceeds or falls below a certain range. It'll send me a message on my phone, no matter where I am. In addition, I have a customized thermostat in my rig that measures the temperature, and it will let me know when the temperature has gone a certain amount, and I'll be able to go in there. Even if the power's out, I'll be able to go there and I can see that, hey, for whatever reason, my AC's not on, it's not working. And it's either because the power's out or the AC's broken. It doesn't matter which does it. It tells me it's not working and the temperature's rising. And I am never so far away from my pets that I can't get there, certainly within, and that's big stretch, 2 hours, and I wouldn't do that on a 100-degree day. On a 100-degree day, I wouldn't go certainly more than a half an hour away. The other thing that I will often do is I take Dottie with me in the truck, and I do something that in some states I think it's a violation to leave your vehicle running unattended. I've never gotten a citation or a warning from anyone. I have keyless entry. I can leave the AC and the engine running, and I can lock everything up, and Dottie remains as cool as a cucumber, and I do that regularly. But I will warn you that there are ordinances and things that say, in some states, that say that that's illegal and you can get into trouble for that. I've never gotten into trouble, and I'm willing to take that risk. So that's all about heat and cold environment. The same thing goes if I just don't live in an area where I have to leave Dottie in the car with the heater going. I'm not going to be spending a lot of time in North Dakota in February, so I don't worry. We're just worried about heat here, but you may be different. There are winter campers out there, so it works both ways, folks. So we covered health, emergency health, and the temperature is related to health as well. How do I feed my dogs? And I used to give my dogs, science diet and whatever the latest Iams dry food. And then I really discovered, I think this is better for my dog. Notice what I said there. Do your own due diligence on this. I make my dog food for Dottie. Now, I do Iams Drive for the cat, and it seems perfectly healthy with that. Dottie seems much healthier with homemade dog food, which is lean ground beef, usually 93% when it's available. Sometimes I'm only sometimes I have to settle for 80, which I don't like. I don't think the lower the fat content, I think the more healthy it is for a dog. And I mix in frozen vegetables, usually peas and carrots or broccoli and carrots, or I stick to vegetables I know are good for dogs. And I always double check online, 'cause, like, there's certain vegetables you're not supposed to give them. Onions are no. Corn is a no. There's lots of others that are no-nos. But I mix all that together in my Instant Pot, and I cook that. I do between 4 and 5 pounds of ground beef, and maybe 4 or 5 little bags of the vegetables, and I do at least 2, if not 3 batches in the small. I have the small Instant Pot, and I have a vacuum sealer. I vacuum seal probably a week's worth, and I put it in the freezer, and so it keeps for a long time. And I feed Dottie. She's about 25 pounds. I feed her a half a cup twice a day. So it takes, I do more prep work on her meals than I do on mine, probably. What do I also give her? I give her supplements. I give her turmeric with a little pepper sprinkled in the food, a little turmeric supplement twice a day, a a fish oil supplement, and for her arthritis and back pain, which is pretty much non-existent, the veterinarian describes gabapentin. CQ10, it's a heart supplement for dogs. For humans too, I give her that as well. That's everything that goes into Dottie's little body. I don't generally have very many treats at all, because I try to vigilantly keep her weight down. She's had a heart murmur that was, like, I think a grade 3. Now it's a grade 1. And sometimes the doctor says I can barely detect it at all. But that's as a result of, I think, the diet and the weight loss. She was up over 30 pounds at one point. Now she's about 25. So that's food. It's a little extra effort, but there's plenty of room in my little kitchen to do that for the Instant Pot. And the Instant Pot's a great little thing, by the way. And so is I've got a little tiny air fryer. Both are very inexpensive and put away in small spaces, and I think it's wonderful stuff. Quartzite, people often ask about lions and tigers and snakes. Snakes and coyotes. Are snakes and coyote a threat in quartzite to your dog? Yes and no. If you have a dog that you, by the way, illegally let run off leash, then both of those things could be a significant threat to your dog. In particular, more coyotes. Hungry coyotes will come into camp during the day with people around. I've had one stalk a neighbor with her dog, not a little dog. This is a big dog, and the coyote, big coyote, stared her down and wouldn't back off, and it was a very scary situation. You do not want to have your pet off leash, period. I've not heard about a coyote attacking a person in quartzite. So as long as your dog is attached to you, you're safe from coyotes. Now, I wouldn't suggest wandering off at night and being, subject to a pack of coyotes. You need to take your dog out to pee. Do it within spitting distance of where you're camped. Don't go wandering off into the dark, into the desert. Rattlesnakes, I don't let, I go for long walks in the desert with Dottie. I do not let her go into groups of rocks or places where snakes could be hidden and sleeping or whatever. I just don't allow her to do it. She walks out in the open near me where I can see where she's going and what's in front of her, etc., etc., etc. Very minimal risk from rattlesnakes. So, good rule of thumb: keep your pets on a leash. Right, Dottie? Still sleeping. Save the best for last. The joy of these two companions is hard to put into words in a way that's adequate to convey how amazing it feels to have these furry little companions with me all the time. It's wonderful. The downside is, you're going to lose them. They have short lives. Yeah, our pets have far too short lives, and we have wonderful time with them, and then their time ends, and we have to let them go and move on. And that happens whether you're a nomad or you live in the same place your entire life. That's just a sad fact of life. Yeah, it's sad. My MO, and you may not feel the same way, you don't need to agree or disagree. I'm just telling you how it is for me. Dottie's my third dog as an adult. The first two died, and when the first two died, I adopted another one within a week. Does it mean I forgot my first dog Collar or my second dog Sadie? Absolutely not. I did not forget. I love those dogs. I still love those dogs. But Sadie was my rescue after Collar, and Dottie was my rescue after Sadie passed away. All within a week. And I cannot imagine my life without Dottie. I don't have a moment's regret about any of those decisions. Traveling can be challenging. Here, traveling with Dottie in the truck with the trailer is no challenge whatsoever. She loves to go for a ride in the car. What I have in the passenger seat is a piece of plywood with a bed on top of that, and that's where Dottie goes, and she just loves every minute of it. That piece of plywood goes over where your feet would go, and there's a dark little spot that I put George in, because George, please, no suggestions on this. I've been through them all and worked with vets and done all sorts of research. George would get sick, motion sickness every time. So the way that I've been able to alleviate it is there's a medication that I get from the vet that sedates George, and George goes under that little hidey hole and is able to make it through a day traveling. So that's how that goes. I wish George didn't have that problem. I've had people say, well, maybe you shouldn't have George. You should give George away. Not happening. I'm not giving my Georgie away. But fortunately, for the way I travel, it's only a handful of trips a year. That's it. The summer ended. It was a 5.5 hour trip down to here. That's it. George was fine. When I go to Quartzsite in the end of November, 2 days on the road, 2 short days on the road, more like 8 to 10 hours, 8 hours, on the road travel time. So that'll be a little rough, but then I won't do it again until March 1st, and I'll come back here and I'll stay here until June, and then do the 5.5 hours up to Eagle Nest. So that's not that bad for George. Now, things might be different. I say I'd never give up George. But if I had a lifestyle where I'm losing every 2 weeks, would I be sedating George with a powerful sedation medication every 2 weeks? Probably not. Probably not. I'd either change my lifestyle or find a good home for George. And that would break my heart. But I think the infrequency of my travel makes everything okay, and I think George is very happy with the arrangement. Do I have any regrets? Let's call it a regret. One, I am restricted in the non-pet travel I can do. For example, my whole family has plans to meet up in New York City next month. My niece is having she's an artist, and a famous gallery is doing an opening for her, and everyone's meeting. And I wasn't going to go because I'm not going to pull my trailer from New Mexico to New York City or anywhere close to it. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to go. And then I realized I have a very close friend that offered to take care of Dottie, so I'm going to fly. But that's rare. Now, can dogs go on airplanes? And the rule is they got to be 20 pounds or less and fit in a carrier, 20 pounds including the carrier, and they need to fit under the seat in front of you. Dottie's not going to be happy. And one, she's 5 pounds over, and two, Dottie won't fit comfortably at all under the front seat. And the other alternative is to put them in a cage in a cargo hold. Not doing it. Won't do it. George, on the other hand, could be, with a big bowl of food. And I've owned cats my whole life, so I do know what I'm talking about here. Cats are perfectly fine for days. Now, in this case, the person that's taking care of Dottie is going to look in on George I'm only going to be gone 2 nights, 3 days. So it's not a big deal. But what I'd like to be able to do is every once in a while, I used to go on cruises. I'd love to take a cruise. But I'm not going to leave Dottie, even with a friend, for a whole week or 10 days. It's just a part of my life, a little bit of a sacrifice that I need to make. So there's some downside, but the upsides, they're far greater than any downside. So I don't get to go on a cruise. And if I'm honest with myself, I probably went on 6 cruises. I remember the last couple of days, all I wanted to do was go home. I wasn't happy. So I want to go back again? Rob, what's wrong with you? I found I've had great times on cruises, but there was a cruise I went on that I was so bored by the end of it. I just wanted to be home. And that was the last cruise I went on. So I'm conflating probably false memories with reality. Something's not right there. So I don't have any reason to complain. Do I, Dottie? Dottie's still asleep. Can you even see her anymore? I think you can see a leg. Can you see a leg? Yeah, there's a leg. There's Dottie dog. There's my puppy. Here's my puppy dog. So guess what? I don't know if you've been paying attention, but for the past couple of weeks, I've been like 5 videos ahead. So you'd see a video and it was shot 5 days ago. Well, that's over because it is 10:51 a.m. on Saturday the 27th. You're going to see this in a couple hours because I got nothing. I got nothing but this for today. And I decided, why not do Pets on the Road video, see if people like that. Maybe it might explode and I could get 10 million views. That would be a lot of money. That would be a lot of ad money. Oh, I have totally off topic, but it made me think. I've long time ago I would do a company would send me a product and I'd review it for the free product, and I've long since stopped doing that. I just no good. I don't want that. Trust of my viewers is really important to me, so I'm saying I'm not going to do that anymore. And I thought about, I think I said, well, I won't do sponsorships either, but that's not going to be always true. I'm not at the right size now, but if I continue, luck willing, to continue to grow, I may hear from bigger brands, in particular brands that I'm familiar with and that I believe in. So if I'm glad you stayed this long because I completely forgot a whole pet topic. But let me finish this thought first. If, like, for instance, I'm shooting this on a DJI Pocket 3 that I've been using for 18 months now. If they contacted me and said, would you do a ad placement in your videos for the Pocket 3? I'd go, heck yes. Yeah, I'll do that. And what you'd probably hear from me is I'd go, okay, I've turned off regular ads for this video. And so instead of seeing those regular canned ads, I'm going to do the ad right now for this company. Here's your commercial. And boom, and I would do my little spiel and talk about my experience with the product. And it would only be products that I'm familiar with and I've used. I'm not going to do one where they send me something and I use it for a week. No, that's no bueno. I need to use the product for an extended period of time and have direct experience with it before I do that. But it's pet hair. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about that. Pet hair gets everywhere. Like this couch that Dottie's getting up on. She's in there for 10 seconds and they're saying, so this is what I found. I have tried so many ways of removing pet hair until I found this. It's called the ChomChom roller, pethairgone.com. Look at this bad boy. Watch this. All right. I already see a bunch of hair. I've already cleaned this once, but she's been back. And I just roll it across any fabric. This works on my bedspread too. That was a big deal, the bedspread, every morning. And I just run it across there and it looks great. And I just open this back piece. And there it is. There's all the hair I just picked up. It's that easy. And on the roller, you can put quite a bit of pressure on it. It is amazing. So I'm sorry I forgot that in the main part. And most people won't stay at the end, so you got a bonus. A bonus tip. And I'm glad that you hung in there for that. And let me know if you liked this video. If you have any tips of your own, like pet hair tips like this, check it out. Put it in the comments. Excuse me, I'll check it out. Put it in the comments. I'll check it out. Take care, and thanks for listening to my little video here. Take care.